Welcome, greetings, blessings, Harbor family or friends of Harbor, regular attenders, visitors, or just anyone who is tuning in. So glad to have your attention here just for a little bit. As you may have known, or as you may not know, we at Harbor are going through a Bible reading plan that takes us through the New Testament this year. And right now we're on Matthew chapter 23 through 28 for this week. So I want to share with you a little bit of God's Word from Matthew chapter 23, verses 37 to 39. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. See, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. This is God's Word. Let me just give you a little context for this passage. Jesus is coming down to the home stretch of his ministry. Some of you guys are coming to the home stretch of school, or maybe the home stretch of when things are maybe going to start getting back to a little bit more normal. But he's coming to the home stretch here. It's near the end of his ministry. He's entered into Jerusalem, and he's just given 7 woes to Pharisees, to religious leaders who have rejected him. And Jesus responds to their rejection of him, not with anger, but with lamentation, with sadness. And even though Jesus teaches us to pray to God as our Father who art in heaven, he describes himself here in motherly imagery, as a mother hen gathering her brood or her chicks. It's appropriate, obviously, because it is Mother's Day this coming up Sunday. And we miss something, frankly, if the metaphors and the images that we have are only masculine metaphors. We have animal metaphors here, and we have a female, a mother hen. The mother hen is not simply angered when her chicks run away. She's saddened. She's longing for. She laments that they're not here with her, under her protection. They've rejected her. And Jesus is saying, this city has rejected me time and time again. I've sent prophets. They've rejected the prophets, and now the last prophet, God's Son, Jesus, has come, and they've rejected him. And there's sadness. There's lamentation. Now what's impressive about this lamentation is not just that they rejected him. And so there's not just anger, there's lamentation, there's sadness. What's impressive is that Jesus knew exactly that this would happen. He knew exactly that this was going to go the way that it had planned to go, been prophesied to go. It even had been predestined to go. In fact, in Peter's sermon in Acts, he says that in this city they were gathered together against Jesus. Gentiles, along with the Gentiles and the peoples of Israel, to do whatever your hand and your plan had predestined to take place. In other words, God ordained this whole thing. He had ordained them to reject and to crucify and to oppose Jesus. And yet, Jesus doesn't look at that and just say, oh, no big deal. He laments over that which he has ordained. Can God lament over what he's ordained? Can he lament over what's planned? Can he be grieved over sadness that takes place? Well, yeah, he does this on occasion. We see throughout the Gospels and throughout the Scriptures that God does. And so we too can grieve. We ought to lament. There is much that has been taken away from us. Andrew Peterson, in his wonderful Advent album, describes this relationship that Jesus has with his people. He looks upon those who have rejected him. He says, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often I have longed to gather you beneath my gentle wings. You miss something if you don't have that imagery of a mother chick, or mother gathering her chicks. David Cassidy, in his book Indispensable, a great book on just the basics of the Christian faith, describes our struggle in lack of community like this. He says, the incredible reality is that God fashioned us for relationships, and we don't do isolation well. Now, David Cassidy wrote this well before this coronavirus Yet today, after I shared this on my Facebook page and tagged him, he advertised his book with this quote because this is so appropriate. We don't do isolation well, and so I know you're lamenting and I'm lamenting, and Jesus laments. He laments the loss of relationship with his people. We lament the loss of relationship that we have with one another. But we're invited into Jesus lamenting a loss of relationship or a lack of relationship with people yet to believe. And so, friends, we lament and long for, after phase 1, 2, 3, 4, we lament and long for people who are yet to believe. We long for a city to believe. We long for a city to be transformed. We long for the new Jerusalem, also the new Bradenton, the new Sarasota, the new heaven to come down to the earth and renew this place. We long for more than just phase 1 through 4. We long for a time when God would have full relationship with his people without any interference. But this passage is filled with hope. I wouldn't say it's filled with hope, but it's veiled. The hope is veiled, but it's there. Jesus says this. He says, "For I tell you, you will not see me again." He's talking to this city, "until you say, 'Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.'" This is kind of an if or when statement that Jesus brings forth. You see, the Galilean Jews said this. They already said, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." The Jerusalem Jews have rejected him. And yet, instead of rescinding the invitation, instead of saying, "You reject me, I'm rejecting you," Jesus says, "You reject me, the offer is on the table if you believe." And so, friends, let's not see people now who don't believe as simply those who don't believe, but hold out hope. Have faith, have hope that maybe too, one of these days they would believe, and in this season be praying for those friends. Maybe for you struggling to believe. Lament with Jesus and pretend like things are all good. No, we lament. Jesus lamented. We lament over what God's ordained. But we also hope, because we don't see just the city for what it is right now. We see the city for one day what it will be. And so let's hope that the city of Bradenton, the city of Sarasota, wherever city you're in right now, is not going to always be the way it is. So let's press on. Let's have hope. As more people believe, we'll see more evidence of God working in our cities, that they would be more of what we would hope that they would be, and then one day they will fully be what we dream that they will be now. So let's lament and hope in this season, my friends. Hold on, hang in there, press on in hope. We'll get through this through the power of Jesus.